everyone. This is Craig Durr, Chief Analyst and founder of the Collab Collective, and welcome to another edition of Decision Point. This is Insights for IT decision makers. This is where we have a chance to help you ask those tough questions about the products, the solutions, the technologies that you're considering putting into your own environment. And we get the experts who are behind these solutions in-house to help us with this. This is not one of those typical marketing webcasts. We're not going to have death by PowerPoint. It's me asking tough questions on your behalf to help you make some informed decisions. Today, we have a really special topic. We're going to be talking to two people from Q-SYS, and I want to introduce them right now. And we are hot off of their recent product announcement called Activate. And we're going to talk about the products that are coming out from there, as well as what we can expect in 2 weeks at ISE if you happen to be there. So let me start off with Jason Moss. Jason, you are head of marketing and ecosystems at Acuity Intelligent Spaces. This is a new expanded title. Jason, good to see you again.
Great to see you, Craig. Glad to be here.
And then also we have Christopher Jaynes. Christopher is the Chief Technology Officer also of Acuity Intelligent Spaces. Chris, good to see you again.
Yeah, great to see you too. Thanks for having us.
I am starting off kind here because this is not the first time we're sitting down and talking, is it, gentlemen? We've done this a couple of times already, right?
We have.
Yeah, it's lucky number 3.
It is.
Third time's the charm.
It is. But actually, that is really great insight because this allows us to see the story move along. And in fact, we kind of get to pressure test and understand where you are. And let's think about this. So the first time the three of us sat down was at ISE last year, 2025. At that point in time, we talked about the whole platform and why a platform approach matters. There were some great things that you were looking at with Q-SYS. I think we were just on the cusp of talking about Acuity in that point in time. But the platform approach. Then we sat down again at InfoComm 2025. And this is where we talked about the vision really scaling and maturing and coming to bear. And now we're at the point that we're actually seeing some really solid proof points come along. Jason, am I capturing this well? Is this a right evolution of what we've seen here just in the last 12 months?
You got it. And that's why it's so fun to have these conversations with the same people again and again, because we really are building a foundation here. And you really did a good job of articulating that. And really where we started was really just talking about the challenges of fragmented AV solutions that are out there. And what is the need for a platform-based approach? And then at that second time, when we talked at InfoComm, it was just coming off of our Q-SYS Designer 10.0 launch that we did in May, which really articulated our full stack AV platform approach of not just talking about what the problem was, but a real solution on how to fix it in the real world.
Yeah, no, I love that. Actually, I also think there's another aspect to this, Jason, and it is fun to talk 3 times in a row with Craig for sure, but we also write some blank checks that we're starting to have to cash a little bit, right?
True. This is true.
Yeah. So what's exciting about it is everyone, I think, realizes some of the challenges you get with fragmented AV hardware focused systems. And when you bring it together in a platform, especially through technology that's scalable with a focus on software, you start to be able to create new experiences and achieve things that have just really been challenges to the AV community for a very, very long time. So our focus at this Activate, I think what you saw is that we are now operationalizing those promises. So part of that focus has been how do we put these components together and now snap on new capabilities, introduce new endpoints, new hardware platforms that then feed directly back into that platform without having to reinvent that entire wheel. And I think the community is starting to see that flywheel starting to turn on the platform, which is really exciting.
It is. The continuity and momentum is there. So it's good. I've got my list of tough questions here. So I'm going to be, kind of hard on you. And I hope afterwards you still forgive me. But let's dive in and talk about what you guys just recently announced. So Activate took place January 15th. There was a lot of stuff that came out of this event. I think you guys did a fantastic job. If you don't mind, I am going to lean into some of those products because there are some really exciting ones for myself as kind of a pro AV geek that I really wanted to talk about a little bit. You guys actually had a new X-Class server that you talked about. You also had a new MPA amplifier line that's coming out as well too. Yeah. I don't want to get into speeds and feeds, but do me a favor. Is this X-Class really the be all that you are claiming that it's to be?
Of course it is. no marketing fluff at all. No, but seriously, we introduced the idea of the X-class servers back at our Activate in May of last year. And we launched 2 of those, but we still had our top end core server, the Core 5200, which has been the most powerful solution of its kind on the market, really used in convention centers, theme parks, very big installs for years. And we see, saw the marketing, or not the marketing, the market catching up to that and starting to bring out other solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And what we announced was the top end of the X class. And what we did is essentially doubled the amount of computing capacity that is there on this product, and added, I know we don't want to get into speeds and fades. It's really hard when you're like, we doubled things and now we have 10 gigabit fiber and redundant power sources and all the other cool things. So that was my subtle way of sliding in speeds and feeds.
Okay.
But I'll stay away from that. But the whole idea is that this is a heritage business where Q-SYS, we really made our mark into the market. These are our first customers that really adopted the idea of the platform approach when you have these big, large installations. And we felt it was important to really bring out the next generation of capabilities. And that's really what this X-class server does for us.
To me, it was a real clear indication of your continuing investment in what you guys have kind of dubbed the name high impact AV spaces, right?
Yeah. This is really, we talked about high impact spaces in terms of the collaboration space, but these are even beyond that. It's the hospitality, entertainment, big commercial centers where you need a massive amount of audio channels, data, processing capabilities, all that. And this is a really important market for us. That we want to make sure that we've had a really good leadership in, and want to make sure we're maintaining that leadership and serving our customers' needs with it.
Got it. Chris, what about the MPA amplifier line?
Yeah, it's funny because I do feel like this launch really demonstrated the return on our investment in the platform over the past almost more than a decade. So, Jason just mentioned the ability to introduce edge compute that just sort of blows the doors off and lets you do whatever you want to do in any venue. I think that's fantastic. We also can now ask ourselves what parts of the platform could benefit with new hardware and innovation. So that's an inverse approach to technology innovation than the market has, traditionally taken. It's not really like, what are my competitors doing? Now I need to introduce a new amplifier so that I can sell more amplifiers. It's really given this platform, the thing that users love and experiences they're designing, what do they need to continue to fill out the platform? So that was on the MPA line for the amplifiers. That was really for us getting into that mid-power range.
Okay.
Introducing an amplifier that just filled that gap, and that was pretty key. It also is kind of interesting because it's got network-based amplification, but it also has an analog fallback for some of those transitional deployments, which I think is really, it shows how realistic we are, but also how
nice
how we're still tying it into the platform. And just like, I think we all understand the value of the platform probably at this point, but this allows you to now take that new amplifier and treat it like any other endpoint or any other peripheral that you're used to on the platform itself. It's just, here it is, and we filled your gap.
Okay. I like it. So it's still deeply investing in that core market is what you're saying, but it's leveraging the platform approach to that. Okay.
That's
like
right.
it. Good.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll give you a good one on that one. We'll just I'm sorry. But actually there was another really interesting product. Now this one really caught my eye, and this is going to require a little bit of a deep dive for someone to explain it to me. The Room Suite Modular System. It seemed to be like a very elegant solution combining several different boxes into a single solution in some ways. But let's break it down. What exactly is, what's the space you're trying to solve for with this Room Suite Modular System, for example?
Yeah. So we've had a really good entry into the market in those high impact spaces, right? In the corporate environment where there's big boardrooms, training rooms, the visible spaces and things like that, right? And the power of the platform is great, and it allows you to do so many different things, connect all the different devices, because every one of these high impact spaces is a special flower, right? It's got its own unique needs. Everybody has a different way to do it. All you IT professionals and AV integrators out there, there's a certain way you want to dial something in, right?
Right.
And Q-SYS really allows for that. But people are loving what we're doing, but they're just like that. It's just too much, right? If I really want to get to start talking about more spaces, but I still want some of the capabilities that Q-SYS provides in that flexibility and control, I need to get into kind of the next layer down of these rooms.
Okay.
So we're not talking about like huddle rooms or focus rooms or things like that, but spaces that still need an extra level of integration, maybe control, automation, and being able to understand, different peripherals that are in there and get that data back into the cloud,
Okay.
which Chris will talk about in a minute of cool things that we'll be able to do there. So essentially what it does in a very simple term, the modular system combines a DSP, a network switch, and video bridging all into one box, right? So
wow.
you're just reducing it, making it easier. So that's kind of from the physical side. But then looking at the expander and be able to connect that, really the magic is in the software. And I'll probably let Chris describe what we're doing on just thinking about the workflows and how to make this easier.
Yeah, that's really key. I mean, it's an interesting trend. Obviously, I can't help myself, but if you look back, and I'll probably age myself for this comment, but there was a day where you had a TomTom navigation thing on your car dashboard, and you also had an iPhone in your pocket. Those two things became one thing pretty quickly through software. So
Right.
that's the key, right? And that's why Jason just mentioned software there. We have put so much energy into professionalizing and building a world-class software organization because of that observation. And really, Suite Modular Systems is an example of what that means for the market. Is we can now take experiences that used to be built in hardware components that sat all over the table and required cables, extra power plugs, extra network connections, etc., put them into one box and ask the more fundamental question: what type of flexibility can we expose through software experiences from that box
Okay.
to the user? So some of it does require hardware, like the companion expander does give you some room deployment flexibility in a
That's
physical way.
I remember that piece
Right.
within the solution, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But it also gives you so much more flexibility to tie it to where you can do compute in the cloud, you can compute at the edge, you can compute on the peripherals. And now you're running software that just reacts to, users that walk into the room and want to start a Teams or a Zoom call and fire up the system quickly. So I think it's a really good example of where we are headed as a company and actually even as a market.
It's really interesting because it still sounds like it does have purpose built for collaboration. This isn't just a box with that, but the software allows that level of flexibility. Compute where you want to compute.
Yeah,
do the
and it's not
processing
just
with
the flexibility; it's flexibility but scalability,
Ah.
right? So
Yeah.
so you define what you need in these kind of next tier rooms below the big high impact spaces, and
Yeah.
say, well, I want to deploy these rooms with these capabilities, and maybe you have 10, 20, 50 of those rooms across your enterprise or your building. You'd be like, okay, instantly, I know how to do that workflow. I know how to push it out, communicates with the cloud, comes down, and you're actually not doing the traditional Q-SYS designer software when you're doing it. You're going through a much more automated workflow where you can see the different peripherals that you're connecting in there.
Okay.
So it's not looking at like the wide world of anything is possible, like with, our traditional approach with Q-SYS. It's
Right.
really kind of wizarding out that deployment of it, but you still have the power of Q-SYS behind the scenes.
That's what it sounds like. It's not sacrificing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and what it buys you is the ability to, if you've got 120 student study rooms that you want to deploy systems in, you're not custom designing each one. You're really templatizing that experience and then managing them all at the same time and quickly doing the deployment. And Jason's right, sitting right behind that is the exact same compute platform that is Q-SYS, which I think is kind of compelling.
Now with this said, and we're talking about video collaboration as being a core workflow in these rooms, are we talking along the lines of UC certifications, expectations? What do you think here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of a stated thing from us. We have great partnerships with Microsoft, Google, Zoom, and the intention is anytime we bring something out is to be certified as a part of those solutions, and that is all definitely part of our intention.
That's good. It's good to know that it's a priority for you because I'm sure it's a
Yeah,
priority
absolutely.
to this audience as well too. All right, well, let's go ahead and transition then a little bit here. There was some really interesting ideas that we spoke about off camera, kind of in our green room. We were starting to get ready, and it starts leaning into a little bit of even maybe your new title, your new roles, and the new organization, the business unit that you have or business segment. Let's frame this right now. Let's talk about what it means to be part of the Acuity Intelligence Spaces business group. And what does that play into a strategy or a point of view of how you're addressing this market right now?
Yeah. So since the last time, we talked about the different 3 times we've been there. The last time we were talking was we were just acquired by Acuity, and then we had gotten a little deeper. And then since then, Chris and I have taken on expanded roles within the Acuity organization, where Chris is the CTO for Acuity Intelligent Spaces, and I'm the marketing ecosystem for that same group, as is obvious in our titles. But what does that mean? So Acuity Intelligent Spaces inside of Acuity has all of our solutions that include the AV solutions that come from Q-SYS, our DizTech control solutions, which is building management solutions, and Atrius, which is our cloud-based solutions that are looking at building performance, energy, sustainability, facilities management, and data, which is big in the future. And so Chris and I are extremely lucky to be in these new roles because as we're thinking about what is the possibility of bringing all these different technologies together, is thinking about the place. What do we mean by the place? We mean like the workplace or the campus or, the casino, right? In a hospitality center. And so that's what we think about. It's like, what is the place? What is the purpose of that place and what are they doing? Inside those places are a bunch of different individual spaces. So since this is focused on IT, we'll talk about the workplace.
Okay.
Right? There's the high impact spaces. There's the focus rooms. There's all the different meeting rooms we talked about. But there's a lot of spaces outside of that. There's the cafeteria where you may want to have background music. There's the lobby where you want to impress your clients and set a nice ambiance for your employees that are coming in. There's the open spaces and hot desking and things like that. And what we're really excited about is that once we take the Q-SYS platform that kind of looks at we'll call front of the office. And then you have DizTech controls, which really looks at the back of the office. And then you combine it with the cloud-based software and some of the information that we get from Atrius. We start to be able to add applications across these spaces and even up to the level of these places, the workplace,
right?
And all these different spaces connected. And what do you want to do? Do you want to listen to background music? Do you want to have noise masking? Do you want to do a collaboration event? Do you want to have data and occupancy? These are all applications that can now come together under this singular roof. And so when we talk about this, trying to break it down in a simple way of places, spaces, and applications.
I like that.
What are the right things we need?
Yeah, and I love that because it not only simplifies the way to think about these applications that emerge, typically in silos, but they emerge in context as part of a bigger platform play that says, look, if I'm designing background music, that's an application, but it might be for the enterprise in a very specific way at a certain space in that place. That's the tower in Philadelphia or wherever we're doing business. I find that way more. It allows us to inform how we, in fact, shape and innovate the technology to align to the problems that sit in those three stacks, the spaces.
It's interesting. You can almost frame this as this is a proven roadmap to talk about outcomes, not necessarily talking about I'm selling room A or box B. The applications playing into the spaces, playing into the places. It really has a nice outcome path through it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we say is a place plus a space plus an application equals a solution or an experience, right? So let's break that down. Let's say our place is the campus, right? It's an education setting. The space is a lecture hall. That's, what's there. But, there's a couple applications in there. It could be lecture capture recording. It could be remote video, different USB switching. But what's the experience? The experience is that once you combine all those things and you're thinking about the context of where you are, that place, the specific space and what you're trying to do there, what applications are needed, then you can really focus on that. What is that outcome for the student, but also for the professor, but also for the AV administrator and the tech?
Okay.
Where you can say like, okay, I understand all these three things. What is the outcome I'm trying to derive?
Got
And
it.
it's a great way to break it down and really to focus on those outcomes. So really glad you mentioned that. Craig.
Yeah.
Chris,
And it's go ahead, Craig. I just want to say that that's a holistic approach to problem solving, and
Right.
it's how we approached the Microsoft Experience Center 1 that we just showcased at Activate.
I was going to ask about that. That's what I remember. It really piqued my interest when I saw it during the presentation, the Activate presentation. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's a mindset shift, really, right? You want to approach the entire experience of walking into a place like that, Experience Center 1, and regardless of the individual applications, what's the holistic experience of when I walk from one space to another within that place? What experiences are unfolding for me and being driven by AV? It's a completely different view than what applications do we want to deliver and who's building them and going to get them installed. It's top-down experiential delivery from an AV platform. And you really do need both two things to do that correctly. You need the platform, of course. You also need a holistic backbone for data and architecture that can support that, because it's really about data interchange across these different scales, right? In the old days, if you wanted to manage a building, the data of the building would sit maybe in the building controllers like a Distech and be very disparate from the AV systems that are sitting in the rooms. That's no longer the case.
And this ties into your larger AI strategy that you shared with us in previous conversations as well, too. Now that you get these data from these different points consolidating in a cloud environment, there's a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah. Jason used the word lucky with our new roles. I feel really lucky in a couple ways. One is the hottest area of AI right now, it turns out, is really sitting partly in the AV world. It's physical AI. It's embodied AI. It's how AI touches our physical space. Well, guess what? The AV world is where we are the technologists that bring experiences to the physical world. Well, we should be the ones to help shepherd that. I feel lucky that part of my role is to try to drive that innovation and that roadmap at AIS. So yeah, that strategy required us to, one, build a unified data infrastructure that spans both AV-like systems, but also building management systems at the same time, and then pure software experiences in the cloud through the Atrius brand. That's the wayfinding and, Jason mentioned energy and sustainability monitoring and analytics. So you capture that data and you do it in a way that's consistent at global scale, secure. Now you can say, given the world of AI, what experiences can we drive? And I think it starts to really open the aperture for the world of AV, what kind of products we kind of think about at this point.
Sorry, Craig. Just to kind of tag on to that is, when you think about Q-SYS, the on-prem driving force of that is our cores, right? Is the compute on the edge. In our building management solution of Distech Controls, they have an Eclipse controller, which is roughly equivalent to kind of like a core, the same sort of, and they're both very powerful software-driven edge devices. And all the cool things that we want to do in the cloud is fantastic, but you got to get a way to get that off the premise and up into the cloud. So really kind of our edge is the edge, right? We're an edge compute company that is collecting all the data and information, putting it up into the cloud, but then it doesn't just sit there in the cloud. It can then come back down into it. And actually, because they are controllers, we can actually make things happen in real time across the build space. And that's what we're real excited about.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Jason, because it's the reasoning in the cloud, but then it's the action loop back into the space that really creates really great experiences for users. So.
I love this. So this is why I'll tell you why this is making me smile. Our audience is IT decision makers, but part of our audience is also those integrators and partners make it happen. And one of the common questions I get is, how can I participate? How can I enable my customers with AI solutions? It's everywhere. And what you're basically spoon feeding here is a platform and an opportunity to bring AI-powered experiences, AI-powered decisions into the environment, leveraging AV expertise.
That's absolutely true. And if you do it correctly, which, in my world, that means agentic architectures that are responsive and open that can talk to other AI agents or
Yeah.
other modules, then you have integrators and resellers that are able to design their own experiences and leverage things that we develop in ways that are, we haven't even thought of. It's very similar to the designer story for Q-SYS in the same way.
Yeah.
If you want to, know about the physical built space and whether or not what's the trafficability or whether a doorway is wide enough for me to bring a ladder to be able to get to that microphone, you can query agents in our cloud over time that'll tell you, yes, that's true. And you could build entire workflows with that. And at the same time, we, of course, will be introducing our own set of products and things that help enable all those experiences.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't want to go too much with like kind of the future talk of what we're really excited about doing. But the thing that I would say is that if you really want to do physical AI or spatial AI or whatever it ends up becoming the norm of what you talk about, you got to have the right conduit for that data at the edge. And you got to find a way to be able to connect to it. And I purposely say connect, not collect, right? Because when you're connected, you can connect both ways. If you're just collecting the data, great, you're getting information and that's good. But if you really want to impact the space, you got to have that edge computing. You got to have that two-way connection that goes back and forth. And that's what we're really excited. That's what Q-SYS provides today with our Q-SYS full stack AV platform. And that's really fundamental to the advantage that we're going to be bringing to the market.
Yep.
I love it. What you guys have right here talked about is pretty exciting. Now, I'm still supposed to be pretty hard on you, but I have to tell you what you're talking about in terms of this experiential moment, outcomes based, tying into these larger data platforms is really great. You know what I love? When I visited with you at Infocom and at ISE, you actually brought that experience to the visitors in the booth. We weren't seeing demo stations. We were seeing a connected experience taking place where you walk someone through a virtual or recreated office space, virtual or recreated reception area, training room, and what have you.
Yeah.
That is one of the things I think that you have done really well within these conference environments. Is this something that we're going to be expecting to see again at ISE coming in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, you're gonna see more of the same but different. Same
really?
but different, right? Because we're really focused on, going back to our conversation about places, spaces, and applications.
Right.
That's what we're trying to demonstrate. We're trying to put somebody in the context of whatever place they're in, whether it's a corporate work area, a campus environment, a hospitality situation, understanding what they want to do in that space, what kind of applications, actually collecting the data. It was really fun because we did collect the data through the tours to say like, what food snack did everybody like? What music song?
I remember the music
pick?
question. Yes.
Yeah. And we were doing it in real time live data through our cloud and actually showing that. It's kind of fun, right? It's like, well, how interesting is it that everybody liked bananas more than the granola bar? I guess, it was healthy. But it just shows the magic of what we can do. So please come and see it. It is always, our tour is reimagined. So if you saw it before, you'll see new things again, new innovations being plugged into there. So we're really excited to have everybody come see what we just talked about at Activate materialize at ISE this year. This
is in Barcelona, ISE, February 4th through 7th, I think. You
Absolutely.
guys, typical, are going to probably have your oversized booth presence. I think you wind up being a cornerstone of what we see on the floor out there. And I assume all these great products we talked about from Activate, people are going to have a chance to see these live?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not just seeing them live, they're seeing them in the situation. That's right. So it's not just like looking at a box and checking it out, because the magic of what we do is the experience we deliver around the software.
Yep.
And that tour we talked about, they actually can get online now and start pre-booking their time there, right? You gave me a URL, which we'll put on the screen down below, but it's qsys.com/ISE. It's going to have all the information about that.
Yes, absolutely. And you keep going back to that. If you can't make it to Barcelona, we'll do recordings of the tour so you can see what we did. And then also, if you didn't get a chance to see what we announced at Activate, you can also go to qsys.com/activate and see some of the more in-depth. If you are thirsting for all the speeds and feeds of all the cool stuff that we just launched, it'll be there.
All right. My palms are a little sweaty. I wasn't supposed to kind of show emotions on this, but you guys have me excited. There was a lot of great stuff you guys brought to market here in this last week at Activate. My first chance to see it will be at ISE myself. So I am looking forward to that opportunity as well, too.
Awesome.
Well, I think it's time to wrap this one up. I'm going to mark this that I think you guys passed some of these hard questions.
Awesome.
I don't think I was too tough on you, really. Actually, if we get down to it.
No. We'll still have coffee with you, maybe even a drink or two.
I might, because it is tapas. We want to celebrate what's taking place here. But anyway, Jason, Chris, I want to appreciate your taking the time. I know you're very busy. It's a very short window between last week and ISE. So thank you for queuing up what to expect at ISE. Talk us through some of these products that were recently announced and help us understand that larger, broader Acuity strategy of intelligent spaces. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, everyone. This is Craig Durr, Chief Analyst and Founder of the Collab Collective. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Decision Point. We'll bring you some more great insights in the future, and be sure to check out these guys at ISE. Take care, everyone.